Guys, it's Marcus with Go Local FXBG here for another nonprofit spotlight. And today we have Miss Crocker with Yet Stand Inc. How's it going today?
It's going well, thank you.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to have you on to talk a little bit about Yet Stand Inc. So yeah, just kind of jump in and tell me when you guys started, what the mission is, what you're doing. Yeah, just give us a little overview.
Okay, so we started in March of 2022. So in a couple of weeks, we'll be 4 years old.
Oh,
Yeah, and I founded the organization, and I'm the president of the organization. And really, it came out of like my own experiences, which oftentimes you get into this world by
yeah,
things
for
that
sure.
things that you've experienced, and as a young child experiencing trauma, really having no idea of what was going on. I didn't have the language to explain, what was happening, and no one around me was talking about it. Nobody talked about trauma. Nobody talked about,
Right.
if you was, sexual assault, molested. It wasn't talked
Yeah.
about. And so, over the years, through processing through the pain, and just going through a lot of hardships, and just trying to figure life out on my own, I learned a lot, through therapy, through different avenues that were opened up for me to get like group support and things like that. And then just my own research. I learned a lot, and I've come a long way from where I was. And so really the goal of Yet Stand is to basically pass on, what was given to me, to pass on what I've learned, so that, especially with youth, so that hopefully they don't have to go down the road that I went through, of just not understanding and being confused, not being aware, not knowing what. And so our goal is to inform, is to raise awareness when it comes to mental health, when it comes to trauma, to just help people, to understand their own brains, and their emotions, and then how to keep them in check, if you will, things that they can do, for themselves, to feel better, or to calm down, or to ground, or whatever that is. And so that's why it started, and that's what we do. So we go into schools. Right now we have a partnership agreement with Stafford County Public Schools. And so we go into the schools, we talk to the middle schoolers, high schoolers. We call their workshops, what we call them, power chats. And basically that's what we do. We talk about mental health. We'll tackle specific things that the kids might be dealing with. So a lot of things that we hear, are the fighting and the bullying and the troubles at home and the substance abuse and suicide ideation, things like that. So we will talk specifically about, those issues, and helping the kids to understand and work through some of those things. And we also host community events. So we'll be at, let's just say, one of the local libraries, invite the community in, and talk all things mental health. We're going to have some things coming up for some art therapy, some music therapy. So those will be some community events that we'll do.
I love that. I love that. I feel like mental health is really important. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like, you know, coming from our generation, it's like you said, right? We didn't know how to navigate it. We didn't
No.
talk about it. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
no one really, it was
No.
just one of those things I feel like we always ignored, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially as a kid, our parents didn't know either. They didn't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
The biggest thing we heard growing up was like, oh, they're hyper. They need some Ritalin or something.
Right.
It
Right.
it just wasn't a thing that anyone
Mm-hmm.
knew about or wanted to address. And
Yeah.
I feel like as adults, we're now feeling the repercussions of that,
Oh,
right?
for sure. Oh,
We're
for sure.
having all these emotions, and we're having all these things going on that we didn't know about, and we still don't know about. And
Mm-hmm.
thankfully, thankfully now we're in a better place, I feel like, in society, where people are like, hey, there are some things going on, you do need
Yeah.
to think about it, you do need to go to therapy. Like, I'm a huge supporter of therapy. I feel
Yes, me
like
too.
I feel like everyone should go to therapy at least
Yep,
once in their life.
absolutely.
Once I started going, I was like, hey, I probably won't stop going. It's
Yeah.
I go every other week. I go every week sometimes. If
Mm-hmm.
things are crazy, I go more,
That's
because
right.
it's nice to have someone to talk to that's here for you,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not necessarily on one side or the other of the situation, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're here to make you feel better and here
Yeah.
to help you grow. So I just, and it's crazy being a dad. My daughter's 23 and I got her full time in 8th grade. And like, she came with a lot of anxiety. And
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning, I'm not going to lie, I was that hard ass dad that was like, just push through. That's what we
Yeah.
did. That's what I did.
Yeah.
And then there came a few times where she had meltdowns, and I was just like, okay, this is something that I can't even relate with.
Right.
So
Right.
we sent her to therapy, and she still goes to therapy, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a roller coaster. It really is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, and the more you ignore it, the worse it gets.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I
And the
love.
thing about, yeah, and the thing about with mental health, it used to always kind of be like, you're diagnosed with something. So you're bipolar or you're
Yep.
schizophrenic or and really mental health is a
It's a
day to day to
day-to-day
day to
thing,
day.
right?
Yeah. Our mental health, good or bad, affects everything
Everything,
that we touch,
everybody around
even
us,
our life.
everything.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I feel like, you just touched on the whole diagnosis and things. Like, I've got this belief almost that like we all have mental issues because of
Hmm.
what's going on in our life. And I'm not sure that there is a diagnosis for myself. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because depending on what day it is and depending on how I'm feeling and who you talk to, I could be anything. So
Yeah.
I think the important part is just staying active in therapy and staying active in pursuing a better health, healthy
Yes.
living, and just everything. And it goes so deep into, like, the way we eat, and
Hmm. Yeah.
are we exercising?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Are
all
we
these things.
sleeping?
Yeah, are you
Are we
sleeping
working too?
enough?
Yeah.
Being business owners and entrepreneurs and nonprofit
Exactly.
leaders, we find ourselves overworking ourselves, like,
Yes.
on the regular.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the sleep, it's funny. My psychiatrist is always like, you're not supposed to work 12 hours a day.
Right.
It's just not healthy. And they're
Yeah.
like, you can take all the medicine and drink all the energy drinks you want, and you're
Yeah.
still just not going to feel good about it. And,
Exactly.
and it's just learning that and setting your boundaries and
Yes.
creating those routines. And
Yeah.
it's not easy. It's really not.
Yeah. It's not. It's not.
It's
And
not easy at
we're so
all.
used to doing things outside of ourselves.
Exactly.
But we have to check in with ourselves.
We
Like one of
do.
the things with me, even when I was younger, this was the case, and it's still the case. When I am like stressed or something's going on that may have me upset, or I will get headaches. And
Ooh,
so there are times where all of a sudden, even now, I'll have a headache and I have to stop and say, "Whoa,
gotta take a break.
what's going on here?
Right.
Are you stressed? Are you maybe hungry? Are you tired?
Yeah.
Are you sick? Is something going on?" But being able to like be aware and check in with ourselves, and then, okay, this is what it is. Okay, now what do I do? Even learning, like I spoke earlier about grounding techniques.
Yep.
You can ground yourself, do some in a moment if you need to,
Right.
do some deep breathing.
Yep.
One of the things that I'll do, and people don't even realize that I'm doing it, is I'll take my hand and I have nails, and and I'm not hurting myself, but I'm doing this so that it's like so I'm feeling, it's like, okay,
Right.
and it just helps me
Yeah.
to be to ground. So even learning, those techniques, but awareness is really key, because if you don't know, you don't know.
Exactly. That's one of my new favorite sayings is like, people would be like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, well, you didn't know what you didn't know. You know what
Right.
I mean? And
Right.
it's okay. I think, and we have to remind each other that it's okay not to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we always say, like, there's no dumb questions. Like,
Right.
You got to ask questions to figure it out, especially when
Right.
you're talking to kids and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't want to talk about it.
Right.
They don't want to tell you what's wrong. They're either
They don't.
embarrassed or,
Mm-hmm.
whatever the case might be. Like with men, for example, we're built to be tough, and
Mm-hmm.
we feel like we're supposed to be the provider, and we
Yeah.
shouldn't ever feel down, and we shouldn't feel lonely, and
Yeah.
all the things. So I think it's just important as a community and as society is just to remind each
Absolutely.
other that it's okay.
It's
Not,
okay.
it's okay to not be okay, right?
Right. Right.
So
And knowledge is, which is a saying, knowledge is power, which is why we call the workshops we call them power
I
chats.
love that.
Yeah, knowledge
You
is
know,
power.
and
Once
I'm
you
saying
know,
working, once you know, and then you
yeah,
just learn and keep learning and keep growing.
yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
sitting there reading like all the things that you guys address, the domestic and sexual abuse.
Mm-hmm.
I know kids that have been sexually abused, and
Mm-hmm.
some of them are strong and they stand up and they speak out.
Right.
But there's
Most don't.
most don't,
Most
and
don't.
others
Yeah.
will live their whole life and never tell nobody, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
later, as an adult, they finally come out, and it's too late. The damage is done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And stuff like that never goes away anyway.
Right. That's true.
No
Yeah.
matter how much therapy or it doesn't matter. It's still always going to be in the
Mm-hmm.
back of your head. So it's learning the coping mechanisms
Yeah.
and the things.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy learning as we get older what happened to wire us the way we are now, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, like I don't know about you, but like I see myself as a parent later when I got older, like, man, I'm doing some things my parents were doing.
Yeah.
I'm talking like they did
Yeah.
because, we are what we grew up, how we
Yeah.
grew up. It affects us later.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you see some people that go a completely different direction. You hear the stories of people that had a horrible upbringing that turned out to be fabulous,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the majority don't. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
The more majority struggle, and the
Yeah.
substance abuse and the drinking and all the things.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, from what statistics are showing, this generation is drinking way less, which is great. But
Mm-hmm.
then they're also doing other things that,
Yeah.
when I was growing up, we drank. We might have
Mm-hmm.
smoked a little pot,
Yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
we didn't have access to the things that these kids have access to.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
that's another thing with all the social media and all the digital
Mm-hmm.
world. Like, I had to stop with my daughter in particular. I had to stop and like remind myself of like, we didn't have these challenges.
Right.
You couldn't
Right.
log on
Exactly.
TV and see someone getting shot in the face.
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
we didn't log
Yeah.
on. We didn't wake up every day and there's another school shooting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we wonder why they're afraid to come out of the house.
Yeah.
Why they're
There's yeah.
antisocial.
Mm-hmm.
With all
Yeah.
the bullying, all the online bullying, and all
Yeah.
the things, it's like
Yeah.
it's bad.
Yeah. It can be really dangerous. And there's like you mentioned, the bullying. Yeah. There's sex trafficking online. And not only that, you can actually order and get drugs come to your house and all kinds of things. And so we didn't have those kinds of challenges. And so as adults, we have to kind of stop because we're like, oh, these kids, they're just so emotional. Oh, they can't handle. No, we have no idea. We really have no idea what
we really don't know what they're feeling and what they're going through because we never had to go through it.
Exactly. But when you see, and that's the thing too, is when you see, instead of blaming and shaming the kids or, what's wrong with you and those kinds of things,
how can we help them?
There could be something going. So let's talk calmly, rationally. What do you need? Because if we can't have those conversations with our kids and we can't help our kids to feel safe with us, oh gosh. Yeah,
it's never gonna get better. I mean, I'm not too proud to admit, like me and my daughter went to family therapy and had conversations about how to have better communication.
Yeah.
You get in those heated conversations and one of the things we learned was like, okay, if it's heated, somebody's got to just be like, time out. Let's walk away for a second.
Yeah.
Anger management is a big thing too.
It is.
It is. Learning all the different things and always being open to what someone's going through.
Yeah,
I think the
for
biggest
sure.
problem is we shut them down and we don't even listen.
Right, right.
We're like, nah, just shut up and go figure it out.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, because that's what we got told.
That's what we did. Yeah.
That's
So
what we got told.
we did a workshop a couple of weeks ago over at Brookpoint, and we were talking about family and just issues that the kids were having at home, and we talked about like understanding each other, understanding like we talked about earlier. Your parents, they don't know,
No,
and they're doing the best they can with what they know.
exactly.
So give grace.
Yep. It goes both ways. I think it's important
Both
to.
ways,
I think
exactly,
it's important to explain to our children
Yes,
the difference of the environment
exactly.
that they live in versus what we live in.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because on the parent side, you hear kids saying, "Oh, all right, boomer. Yeah, of course you walked 10 miles in the snow when it snowed when you were growing up." And I'm like, we're just trying to tell you what we experienced.
Yeah.
Just like you're trying to tell us what you experienced.
Yeah.
So I think it is important to have conversations with both sides.
Absolutely.
Because you can, if it's one-sided, we know what that looks like. It never works. Right? It never works when you only address one side of the issue.
Yeah.
So I love everything you're doing. And like I was telling you the other day when we were talking, one of my missions is definitely the next generation.
Yeah.
So I definitely see us collaborating in a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, that would be great.
Mental health is the key to everything. And I think if you're not in a good place mentally, you can never live to your full potential.
Exactly.
You're always going to have hiccups, and you're not going to go all the way that you could
outside of the norm, right? Because there's going to be hiccups and ups and downs and all of that. And even that, if your mental health is not what you won't even know how to manage all of the things that are going to come at you and come your way. And I
think the biggest thing that we have to work on is letting people know that it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's hard. It's really hard to ask for help.
It is.
For some people.
Yeah. But what I found is once I started doing it, because as a kid and a young adult, I didn't ask, I wouldn't ask for help. And, but then I know when I started to, I got help, and people were not I believe that people were going to stigmatize me and, talk negative and all. For the most part, no, I was met with how can I help you? What, and resources and tools.
I think an important part to add to that is knowing who to ask for help too.
Absolutely.
Because asking the wrong people,
you have to do it safely. Yeah.
Right. Asking the wrong people might lead to stuff that you thought that it was.
Right.
So I'm learning even as an adult, just conversation in general.
Yeah.
You got to talk to the right people about the right things, right?
Yeah.
It's like, when we ask somebody for advice, right? Like, I'm going to ask somebody for advice that's not doing anything I'm doing,
right?
Done anything I've done, right?
Right.
Because you don't know what kind of advice you're going to get out of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think it goes back to what people say is like surround yourself with people that you want to be like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Surround yourself with people that are doing things you want to do.
Yeah.
Or like
and listen to. I always tell people to listen to, because we have an internal voice that will kind of, no, not the right person or not the right thing. Don't go right, go left. We have to learn to listen to that inner voice. Yeah.
I've got this joke. Well, it's not really a joke, but it is. I'm always like, when was the last time your gut told you something and you went against it and you won? Never. It never happened. Never in my life
I have learned. Yeah.
Don't do that. And I did it. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I told you it was going to be good.
It
wasn't.
Yeah.
So I think it goes back to that internal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like that internal voice is there for a reason.
Absolutely.
It's there to stop us from doing silly stuff.
Absolutely.
And the better we get at accepting it, listening to it, the less mistakes we'll make.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. But so we could go on and on about this forever. I love these conversations. So tell me a little bit about, I know we talked the other day about funding. You said there is some state funding that you guys get help with, obviously, because you're working with the kids and educational stuff. What You know, and then you got some partners, and that's always good. And I
Yeah.
tell everybody what I'm learning in the nonprofit space, because I'm going on a year, and a year's nothing in the nonprofit space. Like, we're just getting started.
Hmm.
You know, most of this stuff is funded by private, and
Yeah.
and the
Sure.
thing I tell everybody when I have these conversations is, like, I love the community we live in,
Mm-hmm.
because we have such a resourceful community.
Uh-huh.
We have a very supportive community.
Yeah.
You know, it's just finding the right people that support the cause and the mission that we support.
Right.
Because
Right.
there
Yes.
it is. Everybody's
Yes.
out there, right? And
Yeah.
you know, so what kind of, you know, we're doing our trivia for a cause. What week are you guys
We
next?
are March 11th, this week, March 11th.
This week. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wednesday.
So this week, anybody that watches this video, you guys can come out, learn more about Yet Stand. We're going to do some 50-50 raffle, raise some money. But really, I do the trivia for a cause just to get nonprofits in front of people and spread that awareness, right?
Yeah.
Tell everybody, yes, we need all your money. If you got money to give, please send it, give it. But more than anything, we need the volunteers. We need people to help us execute the mission.
Yeah. Yes.
That's where that's the value, right? Because time is priceless, and it's the most valuable thing we can donate, I think.
Yeah.
It's our time and our efforts.
Yeah. People don't always realize that, and they don't always realize that they have something to give other than money.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Money's not everything. It sure does help. But we're gonna, you know, in general, if you want something bad enough and you need money, you'll find it.
Yeah.
So it's really not, money doesn't scare me. It doesn't bother me. People are like, aren't you afraid you're gonna go broke funding your nonprofit? And I'm like, nope, I'm sure I'm not.
No.
And if I do, it's gonna be a good expense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like when you're doing, you know, I'm religious, so I'll call it what it is. For me, it's like, if you're doing God's work and you're giving back to the community and you're pouring back into the community, it can't go wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't go wrong. So,
and as long as you're doing his work, he's got you. He's going to take care of you. Everything you need, everything you desire, everything. You really don't have to worry about it. Just stay on path. Stay on path.
Exactly.
That he's put you on. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I love it. Any other events you guys got coming up in the near future?
Well, actually, in 2 weeks, March 22nd, Sunday, March 22nd at 4 p.m., we have a stage play. This is the stage play that we do every year. This is our 11th year on stage. I wrote the play, and the play is loosely based around my own. I talked about some traumas and things, so it's based around my own experiences, surviving, the family, and how to kind of get through and, and hold on. And so it's called Yet I Stand.
Love that.
Is the name of the play. Again, March 22nd, Sunday. And it's actually going to be, usually we do it locally within churches, but we had the opportunity this year, somebody actually paid for the space for us to use the Bowie Center for the Performing Arts.
Wow.
In Bowie, Maryland. Yeah. So, this is our biggest, this is a 700 seat venue. It's totally different from what we normally do, but we're doing it. And
it goes back to what we just said, like the more energy and work we put in towards it, the bigger it get.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So I love that. So definitely bring some promo material for that to trivia this week.
Yes.
You guys can find them at yetstand.org. Everything's there, all the socials, the YouTube, all the things.
So
definitely go check out the website if you're listening, and check out what this wonderful organization is doing. And I thank you for joining me.
Oh, thank you.
This Wednesday is going to be fun. Bring some people.
We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, I always encourage the nonprofits to bring a team. You guys participate in trivia. And I look forward to it.
Yes, me too. Yeah, we're excited. And thank you for that, for, selecting us as one of the nonprofits. Yeah. We appreciate
All
it.
right. Well, look, have a good day.
Thank
And
you.
we'll see you Wednesday.
Okay, see you Wednesday.
All
All
right.
right. Bye-bye.